Hey, let's look at rendering from Cinema 4D Lite to After Effects, because Cinema 4D Lite will not let you render directly from the program. You have to use After Effects as the rendering vessel, and then at that point you have to use Media Encoder to be the renderer from After Effects. Kind of just a workflow thing. You can only render from Cinema 4D, like the real deal version, not the one that's tucked into Adobe After Effects. So I'll get right to it. I've got just a simple little animation of these cubes. It's just the default 90 frames. That's really all I cared about. A little bit of lighting, there's a floor, etc. So, I can render it here and get a glimpse of what this looks like, at any given time. I could, change my framing to here and hit render again. Things you can also do are, render to your picture viewer, and from here it renders it out to, these are just different test renders that I had done here. But we can't really do much with this other than just see what it looks like. So, you need to get to a happy place with your animation, and it doesn't matter because you can come back and edit it. It's a live relationship. Make sure you save it. So I guess I'll save it. I didn't really change anything. And now if I open up After Effects, this is the one I already did, so I'll go through the process. You may or may not have you might not have it in your project, because maybe like what happened with me is I went to open a new Maxon Cinema 4D file, and it took me to Cinema 4D, but it hadn't been opened in a while, so it had these questions, and then by the time it opened something new, it wasn't the same file that After Effects wanted, so I just have to import that. So I'm going to say File, Import File, and there's my render test C4D file, and I'm going to bring that in, and then I just have to make a comp out of it. So I'm just going to drag that down to my new comp button, and I get something like this. It's a single layer. What I see is where I left off my project here in Cinema. I don't have a camera in here right now, but if I did, then the camera would be the active camera. So here we are. I can see some grid stuff. If I try to scrub through, we've got some motion, so I can see that the animation's happening. It goes from the full duration of my time, which was the 90 frames, 3 seconds. If you don't get the view of it properly, maybe you're on current or current draft for your renderer, which is also, well, it's working now. What if I go to current? I tried this earlier and current still wouldn't animate it. It's not. Oh, it is there. Cool. You just have to be a little patient. I guess I was impatient. So my renderer is set to current. Oh, and you might be saying, well, what are you looking at here? This is the effects control panel that has the Cineware component in it. And this is what handles the exchange of information between the two programs. So, draft means you're going to have lines and stuff on it, either viewport or current. I'll go to viewport, it's fine, just because it's going to render a little bit faster. And you don't really have to change much unless you didn't have a camera in Cinema 4D and you wanted to use one in After Effects. That'll actually happen. You just have to change it to your comp camera, and then you'll be jamming. Otherwise, it's going to deal with your Cinema 4D camera. And if you have multiple cameras, because you were testing out several of them and one of them is the one you want, you can say select the Cinema 4D camera, and that'll allow you to pick the one that has your final product. So, just making sure you scrub through and everything looks good. If it doesn't look good, then you simply just go back to Cinema and, maybe I'll just put a material on that one cube, and then I just have to hit save. And now when I go back to After Effects, boom, there we go. You can see it's updated. So it's got a real nice relationship back and forth. Now what I have to do is I have to go to Composition and add to Adobe Media Encoder queue, and then that'll pop up the file where you have to say, hey, I want to put you somewhere. I'll put you on the desktop. This is render test H264, and you can set your file type and all that stuff here. And I'll hit play or render. It'll go through. You get the little preview, and then when it's all said and done, you're gonna have a QuickTime file of that piece. Think about the packaging of it. Think about a title or end credits. How do you fade in, fade out, things like that. That can all be done in post in After Effects. You don't have to worry about doing that in Cinema. In fact, even now that I have this file that's open or rendered, if I go to my desktop, render test H264. So here's my movie. Play. There you go. I could bring that back into After Effects now as a rendered movie and then treat it like footage and do the fade in, do the fade out, have a title or credits, whatever. Or even do cool fun stuff where you multiply it and have different blending modes or something, get funky. But that's how you do it. That's how you render from Cinema 4D to After Effects. All right, I hope that was helpful. Too little, too late.